So for some 3 weeks ago, I reacted to a video of many prophets one message, and that was about how a Christian gets into heaven. And in that video, he discusses Bible verses which teach that a Christian can fall from grace, he can fall from salvation. And then he says, then what sort of deeds can disqualify a Christian from heaven? And then he said, the New Testament doesn't provide any evidence in order to bring Christians down, in order to make them doubt their faith, even though that's what apologetics is about, but at least do it in an honest way, right? But today I have a more complicated answer to that, because he actually quotes Galatians 5:19, and in there he says that Paul, he lists a lot of sins that can disqualify you from heaven, but however he makes the vague statement that if you practice such things. What does practice mean, he says? And are these sins hierarchical? Are some worse than others? Well, I can already say to the latter one that when they are grouped in a list of sins that can disqualify you from heaven, they don't need to be further categorized, because they're already in the category of disqualifying from heaven deeds. So, but to the first question, what does Paul mean by practice? And now in the Bible, more specifically in the Psalms, it says that God's mercy is very rich. It says that generally throughout the Bible, that God is very merciful. So if you just transgress once, if you commit idolatry once, if you commit adultery once, is God not going to forgive you that? Of course he is. God, he will forgive you if you commit one transgression, but then you have to be repentant. You have to repent of that and not do it again. And then I think if you do it again, then yeah, I don't think there is any chance then. Yeah, so he asked, is just one transgression enough, or can you do multiple and still be forgiven by God? Of course you can do one transgression and repent and receive God's mercy, but if you do it repeatedly, if you always commit idolatry, if you always fall into the den of idolatry, if you always commit adultery with your partner after partner, and if you regularly fornicate, then you have no chance. You have no chance unless you totally transform yourself, and in Paul's words, crucify your flesh. Then you will not. So again, to summarize, I think that you can do one transgression and be forgiven by God if you sincerely repent. But if you do this regularly, if you do this repeatedly, then there's probably no chance out. So I had a more complicated answer to that specific question. What does practice mean? This guy, he asks for anything about yeah. So